Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I am Adebola Adeduba. The headlines. The Fed's headquarters debunks school rumors, reiterates commitment to Nigeria's democracy. Nigeria Labour Congress insists on its two-day nationwide protests despite pullout of 65 civil society groups. Another attack on the religious center in Burkina Faso leaves dozens dead. Details shortly. The defense headquarters has delivered a resolute response to quell rumors of a coup plot allegedly looming over Nigeria. In a statement issued earlier today, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, the acting director of Defense Information, refuted claims circulated by an online media outlet suggesting heightened alert within the Presidential Guards Brigade amid suspicion of an impending coup. The defense headquarters condemned what it regarded as unfounded assertion, labeling them as mere fabrications intended to sow discord and panic among the populace. Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, reiterated the unwavering commitment of the armed forces to uphold democracy, dismissing any notion of subversion. President Bola Tinubu has set up an economic advisory committee comprising the federal government, sub-nationals, and the private sector. The president announced the setting up of the committee after he held a meeting with some key stakeholders at the State House in Abuja on Sunday evening. Among those who were at the meeting with the president are Aliko Dangote, Rabiu Samad, Wale Tinubu, Elumelu, and other selected leaders of the private sector. Tinubu said the goal of the advisory committee is to provide additional efforts in stabilizing the economy and ensuring the best economic future for Nigerians. Earlier, we're joined on the news by Mukhtar.
We had a very, very good meeting, and what we discussed is generally about the economy, food security, security of the nation. We discussed everything in detail, and I think there is the economic, presidential advisory, which has been set up. And I think this will look at all the issues and address them.
It's a tripartite meeting and designed to, put heads together and to think together. They will have one national economy, and it's the responsibility of the 225 million Nigerians to work together to make it great. And we have all the potentials, and we have all that it takes to make Nigeria, get right through these turbulent times and put the economy back on a sustainable keel.
Some of the issues we discussed, for example, like the foreign exchange rate, which we know has always been the problem for the past 2 or 3 months. We have discussed on how to, bring the foreign exchange, the rate down, because we all know that what is happening in, as regards the foreign exchange is artificial, is manipulative, And thank God, the CBN, is doing quite a lot now. The exchange rate has come down from 1.8 to maybe 1.615 now. And as we all know, everything in Nigeria is indexed to the foreign exchange, especially when it comes to, stuff that we import into the country.
I leave this meeting with a lot of enthusiasm, excitement, and optimism about the future of our country. I believe that implementing the decisions we arrived at today will help propel our economy and help alleviate the poverty in the land, help create employment, and help put food on the table.
And I'm joined live on the news by Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO, Asha Investments Limited. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Thank you for having me.
All right. What are your thoughts on the establishment of the President's Economic Advisory Committee?
It's the best move President Tinubu has taken thus far. Before the former advisory committee, you have governors and you have the vice president, a 36-state government and the Minister for Finance. You don't even have the private sector, and this is the first time we are seeing an economic team that really have the economy. Those people that run the Nigerian economy are those people that are there. So it's going to be an exciting time. We hope they've said they've made some recommendation to the president, and hopefully we'll begin to see some of those result of those recommendations. When you look at people there, like I said, there are people that have been in this economy, people that have businesses here, and the people that are having these current economic challenges is having a negative impact on their business, and they want to get a solution to it moving forward, because they definitely know that the future of their company and the future of Nigeria is at stake, and they have a big role to play in it.
So let's narrow down to the crop of people in this advisory committee, the likes of Aliko Dangote as well as Tony Elumelu. What do you think they would have whatsoever in terms of impact on decisions being made for Nigeria?
You know, the challenge is an economic advisory committee. And again, yours is just to advise, and then it's up to the government to take your advice. I know that they will be giving them a lot of advice because they are also in business. We're talking about Aliko Dangote is African richest man, is Nigerian richest man. So he knows what the devaluation of the currency have done to his earnings and to his position. You have the chairman of Boa Group, Rabiu also. These are all people that have 90% of the investment here in this country. So you have the president of the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria has been crying all this long for what has been happening in the manufacturing sector. So I think the caliber of men that he really had to come to this economic committee are men of timber and caliber. When you look at the governor of former governor of CBN, now governor of Anambra State, Chikuma Soludo, Dakwa Abiodun. So I think it's exciting times. I'm looking forward to some of those recommendations, whether those recommendations will be made public, and we see the implementation of those recommendations. Somebody like Bismarck Rouhani has been talking thus far how to bring stability to the exchange rate. And now he has an opportunity and is in a group that they can work on that. So for me, it's going to be an exciting time. They will bring a lot of experience. They will bring a lot of innovations. And when you look at all the people there, parallel of them are the key players in the private sector that provide the economy. In the private sector, they are the ones that are giving employment, sorry. They're giving employment to over 80% of those people, the people in the private sector. So they know what is happening to the economy, and they know what is happening. So I'm excited about it. Hopefully, this will not just be an advisory committee. It will be a committee that is advice will be taken by the government and will be implemented to the latter.
But in terms of representation, do you think the committee's composition represents the diverse interests and also sectors of the Nigerian economy?
I wonder which sector is not represented there. I mean, every sector is represented there. I've talked about the manufacturing, you talk about the oil and gas, you talk about the aviation, you talk about government, government politicians, because you can't call Soludo now a businessman. It's not a politician. Dr. Abiodun also is there also as a politician. You look at the banking sector, you have Tony Elumelu there. You also look at the conglomerate. You have people like Femi Todola there. You have Aliko Dangote, as like I've mentioned earlier on. You have, I think it's almost all the captain in the industry in Nigeria. Then you have the larger Manufacturing Association of Nigeria represented there by their chairman. So you have the MD of Flour Mill also there. You have the vice president of the Nigerian Nigeria Investment Group. So I think Nigeria Economic Group. So I think we virtually have we have an economist like Bismarck Rouhani there also. So I think every sector of the Nigerian economy, that's why I said I'm excited about it. It seems to be one of the best decisions that President Tinubu have taken at a times like this. And I think they know what to do. They know how to turn around this economy. One of them said, so you could see that the CBN is doing a lot to bring down the exchange rate, and we've seen that exchange rate come down a little. I say a little because there's still much, the gap is still very, 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 very wide to the real value of the Naira. So hopefully in the coming months and days, we'll begin to see some of these meetings begin to give us some good results.
Well, thank you so much for your expertise on the news. Mokhtar Mohammed, Thank you once again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
The presidency again on Sunday warned the Nigeria Labour Congress not to embark on its two-day nationwide protest against the rising cost of living in the country. On February 16, the NLC announced a nationwide protest scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday over the alleged government's failure to implement agreements reached between both parties on October 2, 2023, following the removal of fuel subsidy. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, and the police handed down the warnings as 65 civil society groups on Sunday pulled out of the planned demonstrations, warning against its possible hijack, arguing that it could worsen the deteriorating situation in the country. The NLC president, Joe Ajaero, had insisted in a statement on Sunday that the protest would be held on Tuesday and Wednesday as planned. The decision followed the conclusion of a 14-day ultimatum issued to the federal government to implement the measures against the widespread hardship. The Nigeria Labour Congress says there is no going back on its planned 2 days nationwide protest over the economic hardship of the country. The NLC says this is even as it has uncovered plans by agents of government to cause violence against its members during the protest. In a statement signed by its national president, Joe Ajaero, the Labour Union warned that any attack on its members in the course of their protest will lead to a total withdrawal of workers' services across the country. While insisting on the rights of citizens to peaceful protests, Ajaero urged the government to come up with ways to address the pains of Nigerians. Earlier, we were joined on the news by Dayo Fagbolu, social commentator. In the meantime, the Nigerian police force has deployed security operatives across the state in anticipation of the planned protest slated for tomorrow. News Central's crew roving the state observed the heavy presence of police personnel at Ojota and Surulere area of Lagos State. A former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, has asked President Bola Tinubu to take lessons from Argentina's Javier Milei reforms. Atiku said Argentina and Nigeria closed the last quarter of the year 2023 on a similar path of economic downturn, adding that both leaders inherited a disoriented economy, but both applied different measures to recovery. The former vice president said what Milei did to return his country to a place where investors are starting to believe should serve as a lesson to Nigeria's Bola Tinubu. Economic activity in December fell to 3.1% from November, according to government data published on Thursday, a drop not seen since April 2020. Earlier, we were joined on the news by Otive Obuzo, a policy analyst, to talk about this.
One of the first things you notice is that they are from different ideological schools. President Javier belongs to the far right, and that is why in his policies he has privatized nearly 40 state-owned enterprises. And in any case, in Nigeria, you know, there are no state enterprises to privatize except maybe NNPC, which the presidential candidate of PDP promised to privatize if was elected. Then the second thing, so when you look at Tinubu, the philosophy of the All Progressive Congress is social democracy, which is a little bit to the left. So it's not possible to prescribe the same policies for both President Javier Milei and President Tinubu. And if you look at the substance, you know, that is the challenge of criticism in Nigeria and the danger of single story or the danger of monocausality. In the world today, we are living in a fertile world where there's a lot of volatility, there is uncertainty, there is complexity, there is ambiguity, there is diversity, there is disruption, and there is digitalization.
Pro-Northern group, the Arewa Consultative Forum, has tasked Nigeria's political elites to rally behind the government to solve the current economic hardship being witnessed in the country. The vice chairman of the forum, Abubakar Gire, during a State of the Nation address in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, urged political office holders to contribute a part of their monthly salaries to government to help support citizens in need below the poverty bracket. He urged President Bola Tinubu to make this possible via an executive order.
This is a new government as far as I'm concerned. Whether ready or not, he should be advised on how to go about it properly, and that's exactly what I'm doing, and that's what I'm urging other Nigerians who are concerned, who are patriotic, who are interested in the well-being of this country to assist our leaders to do something. The president should issue a presidential order asking all office holders at national, political office holders at national, state and local government to sacrifice and contribute 40% of their salaries and allowances for the next 2 years towards ameliorating the pains of Nigerians. That will be our own contribution.
Following the current economic hardship in Nigeria, a coalition of 80 civil society organizations has called for constructive engagement as the only solution rather than destructive tendencies. The group, under the aegis of Lagos People's Assembly, says while it recognizes the right of labor unions to embark on a protest or strike, the trauma of the 2020 NSAS protest, with its damage to limbs, destruction of life and public and private property, still haunts till date. The coalition says it will help monitor the various social intervention programs recently announced by the Lagos State government to ensure they are judiciously executed for the benefit of the people, and will also provide a regular independent report to the Lagos State government as its own contribution. Operatives of the Department of State Services have beefed up security inside and outside the Federal High Court in Abuja as the court is expected to commence a trial of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, today. The matter was suspended after the Court of Appeal discharged and acquitted Kanu in October 2022. The appellate court also declared illegal and unlawful the abduction of Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria and quashed the terrorism charges brought against him by the federal government. However, the federal government appealed against the judgment at the apex court. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has ordered the immediate closure of a factory suspected of engaging in illegal mining operation along the Idiaye Road in Oluyole local government area of Ibadan. Accompanied by security officials, the governor personally inspected the factory, reaffirming his commitment to combating unauthorized mining activities in the state. Governor Makinde also pledged ongoing collaboration with the federal government to address the legal complexities surrounding mining operations, prioritizing the public interest. This crackdown comes on the heels of recent arrests by the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, with the state commandant, Mr. Augustine Pandono, confirming the apprehension of 10 suspected illegal miners.
What's going on here? Still the same problem, illegal mining activities, and the folks are even getting bolder and bolder. This place, according to records available to us, was meant to be a yard for recycled tires and batteries, but coming in here, you can see that the operation, there's no single battery or a single tire here, so they are mining, they are crushing lithium here, and unfortunately, they had support from all over. Preliminary investigation indicated some Chinese, two of them here, the ones leading this, and they also have a lawyer, from Katsina. Some of the workers traced to Zamfara. So I think it is still the same thing about the constitutional provision where they issue licenses to miners in Abuja without the state government having an input. And when you have the fallout, the state government will have to bear the brunt. So we'll keep trying to foster cooperation, between all the stakeholders. Yes, we want business to thrive in Oyo State, but local laws and regulations must be obeyed. We're not saying don't come to Oyo State, but we're saying when you come in here, you should obey the local laws. So that is where we are. All of this will be moved. The state government will take over this facility via a court process. This is a clear violation of the executive order that I signed. So it's a problem that we have to address.
And to talk about the trial of Nnamdi Kanu in court today, I'm joined live by our correspondent, Marvelous Obomanu. Marvelous, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, this is indeed one protracted trial. What are your expectations for today?
Well, just about 2 minutes ago, the court proceedings ended, and at the end of the proceeding, the defendants raised 2 applications, and one of the applications was for bail application, and then to raise preliminary objections when the motion will be heard. So at the end of the day, the trial judge, Binta Nyako, then gave 19th of March to deliver judgment on the bail application that was raised by the defendants, although the federal government had countered that particular bail application. But then Justice Binta Nyako will be delivering judgment on the bail application on the 19th. And just like I said, the second application is to raise preliminary objections for the motion. So at the end of the court proceedings today, by the 19th of March, then the defendants and the petitioners will know whether the judge will grant the bail application to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to be coming from the house to listen to other allegation charges against him on terrorism. Also, you are aware that just at the Federal High Court here, that the trial judge then, out of the 15 terrorism charges that were preferred against Nnamdi Kanu, the judge was able to reduce the 15 to 7. They counted the 7 and then it was crashed. Then the defendant went to the Court of Appeal to file a preliminary objection that what they raised was for the 15 objections to be cancelled, and then of course they now cancelled just 7. So then at the Court of Appeal, where the judge cancelled all the whole 15 charges and said that Nnamdi Kanu should be freed. But then the federal government appealed to the Supreme Court, which is the apex court. And then at that judgment, the Supreme Court observed that the way Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria from Kenya was illegal, but that does not in any way deny the lower court jurisdiction of the case, and therefore he should come back to the Federal High Court and continue with the remainder of the 8 terrorism charges preferred against him. So it's quite an interesting development, and that Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, have been held behind bars in prison custody since 2021. And just people of the Southeast extraction was expecting that as at that December, when the Supreme Court gave that judgment, it would be the final one. But then their hope that was raised was dashed, that then the Supreme Court said they should come back to the Federal High Court and continue with the case. So we are going to see this case continue, especially from the 19th, when we know whether Nnamdi Kanu will be released on bail or not.
Well, but what was the mood of the court like, Marvelous, having said all of this, and for the court to, to adjourn to, for this case, adjourn to 19th of March, like you said? What was the mood of the court like?
Okay, the Ojiako, who is the lead counsel of the defendant Nnamdi Kanu, he just spoke to us, on camera just a few minutes ago. So he said that they are ready, to, fight their defense. That they've already written a plea on the application bail, which will be held on the 19th, but that they are ready to, start the whole thing over again. Although he raised some issues that, they were supposed to start properly on the 8th of February, but the Federal Government Council failed to make an appearance. And then so he said that the federal government knows that they don't have any case against Nnamdi Kanu, so they are trying to, slow the whole process, frustrate the whole process, so that he will remain behind bars. But that they are ready, no matter how they want to take it, that they are ready to start off their defense. So for him, he said he's optimistic that when the Supreme Court said the way and manner through which Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria was illegal, so he said there is a little ray of hope on that pronouncement. So that is what they was, they would find a way to, use that particular statement made by the Apex Court to pursue their case here at the Federal Court. So they are optimistic that at the end of the day, victory will be theirs.
Well, thank you so much for your reporting. Marvelous Obomanum, our correspondent right there. Thank you so much, Marvelous. The recent International Kanem-Borno Cultural Summit held in Maiduguri has set the stage for promoting peace and unity between Nigeria and other countries across the globe through cultural exchange and collaboration. The summit, which brought together representatives from various countries to celebrate the rich cultural heritage of Kanem-Borno, showcased the power of cultural diplomacy in fostering understanding and cooperation among diverse communities. News Center's Umaru Kirawa has details.
Kanem-Borno, a historic region in Nigeria, hosted its first ever International Cultural Summit to celebrate its rich cultural heritage and promote peace in the region. The summit brought together cultural experts, scholars and representatives from various countries to discuss ways to preserve and promote Kanem-Borno's unique traditions and costumes.
One of the things I really want to do within the ministry is to see how we can create a museum of Kanem-Borno. Even beyond that, to see how we can have the traditions and values of the Kanem-Borno have presence in international museums and also in the National Museum that we're going to construct very soon in Abuja.
The news for the establishment of Kanem-Borno Museum towards preserving and promoting the unique cultural identity was welcomed and celebrated.
Mutane sun ba da kansu, gwamna na Niger da na Nigeria duka sun gama kansu, sun ba mu izini mun zo.
Mu haɗa kanmu, mu san junanmu, mu kiyaye yarenmu da al'adarmu.
Za mu ci gaba ko ina kauye-kauye birni yau an yi a nan gobe za a yi a nan duka insha Allah za mu ci gaba da yi.
Kar wannan abu ya yanke yara mu masu tuna su tashi da shi ba tare da bambancin kasa wannan Cameroon, Chad, Niger ba. Kowa kasansa daban amma mu tushen mu daya, addini mu daya, harshen mu daya, shi yasa kai wannan taron.
Sakona ga al'umma shine wato a nemi zaman lafiya, a haɗa kai, a kiyaye al'adu, a so juna.
Participants also explored opportunities for cultural exchange and collaboration to strengthen ties between communities in different parts of the world.
Je suis venu représenter ici toute la communauté du Bénin Kanouri.
The summit is seen as a significant step towards fostering unity and understanding among diverse cultures with the hope of building a more peaceful and inclusive society.
Let us work to unite the Kanem-Borno peoples and resuscitate our lost culture. As you are all aware, Borno is known for its rich cultural heritage and Islamic civilization for over a millennium that earned us the enviable title of Home of Peace.
With the melodious sound of the Kanuri Gangapura permeating everywhere during the summit, the attendance of more than 10 different countries is said to signify important part to cultural sustainability in building a more harmonious society. In Maiduguri for News Central, Morikirawa.
And coming up, another attack on a religious center in Burkina Faso leaves dozens dead. We have details shortly. Stay with us. Mosque in eastern Burkina Faso has killed dozens of people. Security officials on Monday say armed individuals attacked the mosque in Natiabwani on Sunday around 5 a.m., resulting in several dozens being killed. Local residents said the victims were all Muslims, and most of them men who had come for the morning prayer. This event happened on the same day as at least 15 civilians were killed in an attack on a Catholic church during Sunday Mass in the north of the country. The economic freedom fighters in Gauteng has raised concerns over the increasing occurrences of blue light hijackings in Gauteng over the past few months. The most recent incidents include those involving Dr. Jamil Desai and Pastor William Tlaka, who were shot and killed, and a family whose driver was stabbed during the ordeal. EFF says this is concerning as it has become a recurring phenomenon, indicating that criminal syndicates have infiltrated the police force. Three foreign nationals are expected to appear in court in South Africa on several charges, including murder in connection with the killing of a 74-year-old German tourist on Saturday. South African police allege the suspect brutally assaulted the tourist before killing him and dumping his body in the town of Northam in the province of Limpopo. The tourist had been driving from Botswana when he offered to lift a hitchhiker. Officials said the hitchhiker then called two other people who drove with the tourist to his accommodation, tied him up, assaulted him, and robbed him of money and other valuables. The late president of Namibia, Hage Geingob, was laid to rest in the country's Heroes Acre Cemetery on Sunday, following a state funeral attended by African leaders, the German president and Princess Anne, the sister of Britain's King Charles III. Geingob was interred in a mausoleum at the Heroes Acre on the outskirts of the capital, Windhoek, as mourners paid tribute to a man they hailed as a nation builder and a Pan-African hero. His death saw a surge of patriotism, with Namibians from across the political divide coming together to mourn. This is the first time Namibia has buried a president since its independence from South Africa, then under white minority rule in 1990. Earlier, we're joined on the news by Esther Mbathera, a journalist at the Namibian newspaper.
Was hailed as one of those presidents who had the unwavering dedication to the principles of inclusivity, justice, and equality, as well as unity. His legacy also comes through the constitutional democracy, peace and unity and reconciliation. Because you remember that he was part of the group that drafted Namibia's constitution in 1989, just as you mentioned earlier, that Namibia became independent from South Africa in 1990. Now, also they are saying that his leadership was also marked by a vision that transcended political boundaries, emphasizing the importance of collective efforts to build a better future for all. What is also happening is that from the business community, they saw him as one that strive towards a green hydrogen, inclusive, sustainable development, as well as fostering a culture of innovation. And we saw that also through a lot. Namibia is currently working on the green hydrogen plant. And also Namibia has been a country that has always been the forefront of innovation. When you look at 2022, we also had one of the internet cables being launched through Namibia and so on.
In the east of the continent, a road crash in northern Tanzania has killed at least 25 people, including several foreigners. The accident occurred when a Kenyan-registered lorry hit 3 other vehicles, including one that was carrying foreign nationals volunteering at a school. The dead include an American, a South African, and other nationals from Kenya, Togo, Madagascar, and Burkina Faso. The injured were people from Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Switzerland, Britain, and Mali. Police are looking for the driver of the lorry that caused the accident and who is said to have fled after the incident. President Samia Hassan has sent for her condolences to the families of the deceased and called for motorists to adhere to road safety regulations. An Australian helicopter pilot and 2 other workers have been kidnapped in Papua New Guinea's highlands. Police Chief David Manning on Monday confirmed the nationality of the pilot, adding that the police were responding to the incident and focused on resolving the situation as soon as possible. The pilot and 2 others believed to be telecom workers were taken near Mount Sisa in central Hela province. Prime Minister James Marape told Newspen that the Australian High Commissioner has been informed about the abduction. Papua New Guinea's restive islands have in recent years been hit by a spate of kidnappings and tribal violence that has killed hundreds of people. Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Shishaya has submitted his government's resignation to President Mahmoud Abbas. The resignation decision is a preemptive step taken by Abbas in the face of pressures faced by Palestinian Authority from regional countries, the international community, and the United States. According to the source, the decision aims to put the ball in these sides' court to stop the war on the Gaza Strip, secure international guarantees for the full withdrawal of Israeli occupation forces from Gaza, halt Israeli incursion into the occupied West Bank, and lift the financial siege imposed on the Palestinian Authority.
وشعبنا العظيم أنني وضعت استقالة الحكومة تحت تصرف السيد الرئيس وذلك يوم الثلاثاء الماضي 20/2/24 واليوم أتقدم بها خطيا. في هذا القرار على ضوء المستجدات السياسية والأمنية والاقتصادية المتعلقة بالعدوان على أهلنا في غزة والتصعيد غير المسبوق في الضفة الغربية ومدينة القدس وما يواجهه شعبنا وقضيتنا الفلسطينية ونظامنا السياسي من هجمة شرسة وغير مسبوقة.
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency was last able to deliver aid to northern Gaza on January 23rd, says UN Agency Chief Felipe Lazzarini, as he describes the looming famine as a man-made disaster. Netanyahu says military operation in Rafah will be delayed if captive deal is reached, but it will happen regardless. Israel is due to report to the International Court of Justice, ICJ, on Monday on the progress it has made in implementing the top UN court order of preventing genocide in Gaza. At least 29,692 Palestinians have been killed and 69,879 injured in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7. The revised death toll in Israel from the October 7 attack stands at 1,139. And now let's connect with our correspondent, Omolola Ololade, who is right in Ojota in view of the protest or strike. Omolola, good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Good afternoon, Adebola.
Yes, just give me a sense of how your environment is like.
Well, it's just, a normal atmosphere, everybody going about their normal activities, no sign of, protest like we anticipated. And what you have, especially on this axis of Ojota, is just heavy security present. In fact, you have about 4 to 5 security, agents stationed in different parts of Ojota, as you can see. And what you can see now is a lot of security agents everywhere. You can find in different axes, And even besides those that are parked on the road, you can see them patrolling the road just to ensure that there are no signs of any protest or protesters anywhere.
Well, I was wondering if you were able to speak with anyone at all, if they would perhaps be joining the strike action tomorrow. Well, seems we lost connection with Omolola, our correspondent right there in Ojota. We'll try to connect with her, of course, in the course of other news bulletins. Head coach of Super Falcons of Nigeria, Randy Waldrum, is confident that his team will overcome the 3 Lionesses of Cameroon and reach the final round of the African qualifying series for this year's Women's Olympic football tournament in France. Waldrum led his ladies to a scoreless draw in the first leg in Douala on Friday, where the Super Falcons ruined a disallowed goal by Jennifer Echijini early in the second half. Both squads then joined the same flight from Douala into Abuja on Sunday morning. Both teams will play in the second leg of the fixture on Monday, with the winner of the encounter set to face reigning African champion South Africa for a place in Paris. Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Owan Eno, has issued a call to the Super Falcons, urging them to strive for excellence and make the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Senator Eno's call comes as Nigeria gears up to compete in the second leg of the qualifiers against the 3 Lionesses of Cameroon in Abuja.
I'm just hoping that through you, we can break that. I'm going to break that. It's very important. The Olympic Games are about the highest level of sport that you can think of. So just to urge you, no pressure at all. I mean, you're the best in Africa. That's right. You're the 10th best in the world, among the 10th best, isn't it? So no reason why you shouldn't go to Olympics. There's one.
So in the men, it was fun to watch. I followed it closely back in the States. So congratulations to them. And obviously that's the goal. You know, I think coming off of the World Cup and the way the players came together and performed at the World Cup, you know, I think we want to build on that. We don't want to take steps backwards if at all possible. So, you know, we want to come in and replicate the victory and qualify for an Olympics, which we haven't done for many years. So that's really important, and I think the players are very much understand what's at stake, and I think they're ready for the challenge.
And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Defense headquarters debunks school rumors, reiterates commitment to Nigeria's democracy. Nigeria Labour Congress insists on its 2-day nationwide protest despite pullout of 65 civil society groups. Another attack on religious center in Burkina Faso leaves dozens dead. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.